a very, very quick
Hey,
introduction
Arnie.
of Mayor Landrieu, and then turn it over to the mayor and Steve.
Arnie, we decided to call me Mitch.
Okay, Mitch.
Unless you want me to call you Mr. Secretary. I'll start laying that on you, and then it'll make you squirm.
No, sir. I'm going to do this quick, and then I'm just going to get out of the way and just listen, and look forward to a great conversation. But let me just say, I hope I'm not going to go through Mitch's bio, and hopefully you guys Googled his bio. And as you guys talk to folks and meet folks, you should always sort of check on who they are first and do your homework. I'll just say he was one of the public officials I respected the most in the country. And I don't say that lightly. You know, Congress, Senate, governors, mayors. I know his heart for his people and his city. As Ali said at the top, he came out a couple of years ago to Iman with us and spent a morning, talked to the guys, had just a fantastic conversation. If he wants, he can talk a little bit about what he's done. I'll just say a couple things. One, he successfully took down a number of Confederate monuments, which anywhere, but particularly in the South, is not an easy thing today, and takes some real courage and leadership that many would not take on. And he was willing to do that. He's currently working as part of our Emerson team and family to try and bridge the divides of race and class in the South, and he can talk about that. But he understands our work at a level that very, very few people do. And Mitch, maybe if you're willing just to take 2 or 3 minutes and talk through how you handled homicides in New Orleans. And New Orleans has a history of violence. This is Chicago does, unfortunately. How personally you took it, what you did, the photos you kept in your office. And it just, for folks on the call to understand, this is just not something he's just curious about. This is something he has lived. He's lived the trauma that all of us have. He's as committed and more committed as any of us. And he really just wants to use this conversation to learn from you. But I thought before he starts asking questions, and Steve, maybe if you could just take 2 or 3 minutes real quick, just to let folks know why this is so personal for you and why it's so important. And the final thing I'll say is just as folks I learn from, folks I like to just be around and listen to. Mitch is at the top of the list, so I'm happy to. I'm done. I'm not going to say anything else, and just sit back and listen and learn myself. But Mitch, thanks so much for taking the time, and Steve and Ali, thanks for co-hosting.
Thank you, Arnie. Steve, go ahead.
All right, Mitch. So, welcome to CRED Talks.
Thank you.
Again, I want the audience to know, like, for Arnie to say that you're one of the highest respected men that he knows, in the political arena. I too have to echo the fact that the first time I heard you speak, brother, I was blown away. I'm not easily impressed. I didn't know who you were. I hadn't Googled you, but to hear you talk about gun violence in cities and African-American men, it prompted me to look at some of the work that you've done. And when he talks about the monuments, those symbols of racism that have just been part of the Southern culture for hundreds of years, I think for you to take that head on, it really speaks to your character and what you're all about. So, Mitch, real quick, tell the guys, because we got some heavy hitters on today. I think you'll come away from this with an in-depth, sincere, our guys keep it real, understanding of where they are and what they think we can do to kind of bridge this gap or stem this tide of violence. So, Mitch, why don't you tell the guys a little bit about you before we jump right in?
Well, Steve, thank you. I want to first of all thank you, Arnie, for having me, and I love Arnie too. I mean, y'all know where his heart is, and you know where his skill is, and I think that the work that y'all have done together, I'm talking to all the guys now and everybody that's working. CRED is really one of the best examples in the country of how to deal with what I think is maybe the most important issue facing the country. We're going through this really traumatic time with George Floyd and Breonna and with Ahmaud Arbery. But, the Black community looks at the white community and says, seriously, we've been talking about this forever. You can go back to Emmett Till, or you can actually go back, forever. It's been a cascading set of events that is not a surprise to anybody in the African-American community. And then, of course, January 6th is not a surprise either. And I think, you know, all my black friends tell me, man, you white people, like, if y'all couldn't see this coming, I mean, what are you thinking about? So with that in mind, I really come to you guys to, I want something specific out of this meeting. And I'm going to ask you to talk to me about how to talk about the issue of violence. Yeah, I took down the monuments, but I said when I took down the monuments, if all we did was take down the monuments and don't completely dismantle the idea and the power structure that put those monuments up and let them stand, then we really haven't done anything. And if you peel it all the way back, whether you're talking about criminal justice reform, you talk about education, you talk about economic opportunity, job training, whatever it is that you're talking about, it all goes back to the issue of, do Black lives matter? And I'm not talking about it in the context, and I don't want to get any, I'm not trying to get an argument about the slogan Black Lives Matter. I'm asking this specific question: do Black lives matter? Because when I was mayor, and I care about a lot of things and I'm working on race, but this particular issue of young African-American men being killed on the streets of America just obsessed me when I was the mayor. I had over 1,200 people, I think, get killed when I was the mayor of the city of New Orleans. And I took every one of them personally. I kept a picture of every person that was killed in my city, in my office. I had a picture of before and I had a picture of after. And I thought to myself, from my perspective, not only do these young men lives matter, but the future of the city and the future of the country is going to be dependent on whether or not we care enough to do what is necessary to save their lives. That's what my thought was. And so I said, man, what am I supposed to do about this? How do I help fix this problem? Where am I supposed to lead it? Am I supposed to follow? What am I supposed to do? I'm the mayor. I have a lot of power. I've got a police department. I've got mental health. I've got substance abuse. How do we figure out how to interrupt violence? And we did a lot of the stuff that you guys are working on now to try to get a sense of violence being not just a public safety threat, but a public health threat as well. Right. And so we were thinking about that, but I needed help. So I called Spike Lee and I'm like, look, man, help me figure this out. And he helped confect a media program called Flip the Script, where, you know, the narrative about young Black men was that you're dangerous, you don't care about anybody, you're just running and gunning. But what if people could see that differently? And see when you think some guy's just running and gunning, you see a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or an architect or a mechanic or a coach. What does that look like? And the reason I kept a picture of every young man that was killed, because, you know, when at least in New Orleans, when someone's killed, the mayor finds out about it, and I would go out to the scenes. I mean, I've been to more scenes, you know, than I want to remember, and I'll go to the funerals. And I'm gonna show y'all. I'm not gonna spend forever talking, but I want to just so that y'all know this, because I just feel like I need to kind of lay out a little street cred on this thing. I'm gonna show you two pictures. Can you put the one up of the little girl that's alive? This is Breonna Allen. No, not that one yet. The other one. You got another picture of a little. All right, you see this? You see this little girl right here? This is Breonna Allen. Her picture. If you walked into my office, her picture sat. When you walk in my office and you're going to meet with the mayor, there are two sofas and you almost sit knee to knee. This picture, not my family, but her picture was on my desk, so that everybody that came into my office that met with me, whether they were a president, an ambassador, whoever it was, saw her picture. So can you show the next picture? That one. That's her too. You see the happy birthday thing. So now you can guess. This is on a street called Simon Boulevard in New Orleans, which is a half a mile from City Hall where I worked. That was her cousin Kennard Allen's 9th birthday. And two guys who wanted to shoot her father. Her father's the guy that has his daughter's head in his hands. His name is Burnell Allen. They were looking for Burnell. And they came down the street, got out of their car, and they strafed the porch that had about 20 people on it with an AK-47. And they hit Breonna, who was 5 years old, in her stomach and blew her guts out. And that's her laying there dead. That's a picture that was taken and was on the front page of the paper. Not long after this, her father was arrested because he was the head of a gang that was involved in pretty substantial number of retaliatory shootings. And it's, you know, the story. On that same day, the same gun that killed her also shot down the street 300 yards and hit a woman named Shawana Pierce in the head, who had just turned the corner to return a car that she had rented. Two of her kids were in the car, and her head got blown off. This was kind of the level and the intensity of what happened in New Orleans, mostly on a daily basis. You guys all know this because you could just as soon change the names and change the places and hear Hadia Pendleton, right? You could hear the name, although you would know this, Joseph Massengill, who was a kid actually from Chicago that came to New Orleans to actually donate his time in post-Katrina relief, and he got caught in a drive-by in a misidentification. So I felt like if the public could see this every day and they could see the pictures of this, they would care enough to stop everything. I mean, like stop everything and say, we're going to fix the problem. And that's not what happened. It's not what happened. I worried about it every day. I fought about it every day. Our police department has been under the largest and the most aggressive consent decree, where we're working on use of force and peer training. We worked on mental health. We worked on substance abuse. Our CRED was called NOLA for life, but the idea was to stop treating violence like a public safety threat, which it is, but also make it a public health threat, and really think about the front end side of how you, if you create jobs and mental health and substance abuse and create another pathway, that you could find a way out of this cycle of violence and turn it into a cycle of virtue. And the question is how you do that. But the challenge has become over time, at least for me, as I work on the issue of race across America, and I'm talking predominantly to white people about how they got to get their head straight about institutional racism, institutional bias, institutional design, and the Black Lives Matter movement, which I completely agree with, by the way. How you talk about violence in Chicago and in New Orleans in the same breath of how you talk about the Black Lives Matter movement. Are they the same thing? Are they different things? How do you talk about one without being afraid that they're going to come back on the Black community and say you're blaming the community for their own violence? What are the kind of things that you would tell a president or a Congress whose ears you had about what kind of resources are necessary to create the opportunity that everybody in the city of Chicago and the city of New Orleans needs? And I'll keep struggling because I can't find the right way to articulate this in mixed crowds, or what you would want people to know about the struggles that you're having so that we could get them to focus in on getting the resources where they need. I think that based on what I've heard you guys say, and not only what did I visit, but of course y'all's presentation to Emerson the other day was fire, by the way. I thought it was really great. Was understanding that if you really put a lens on where the shootings are taking place, it's not in every neighborhood in Chicago. It's in selected areas. New Orleans is the same thing. Most of the shootings are in 4 or 5 neighborhoods. If you look at the stats in the country, and I'm guessing that they're pretty similar in Chicago as they are in New Orleans, that both the shooter and the people that are getting shot, predominantly African-American men, maybe between 18 and 29. And if the stats are the same, about 85% of the folks who are shooting and being shot know each other. And, the profiles in the neighborhoods are fairly easy to predict. You also can see, I think from what you guys have told me, that where CRED is actually doing that work, that what you're doing is actually working. Because the growth, even though it went up last year, the growth in the areas where you guys are spending time is actually having an incredible impact because you're saving lives. And my question is, well, if that's true, and CRED's a good example of that, and NOLA for life was, what would it look like and how would we talk about it nationally? How would we go pick, the neighborhoods where the kids are most at risk or where the opportunity is the most lacking, and create some kind of framework to actually address the problems in an aggressive way? In other words, what do you need? And what would you tell the president if he was sitting right here? I'm not saying Arnie and I can go talk to the president, but we know these people. And now that they're starting new, if we were going to really deal with the issue of violence, what would we be talking to them about? And how would we talk about it? How would we name it? What would we call it? what would be reflective of what your experiences is. Only you can tell us this. I don't know. That's why I'm at a loss. I'm pretty good with words. I can talk a dog off a meat truck mostly, but I am really struggling with how to articulate this to the country in a way where they will hear it, and they will respond. And so that's really the reason why I wanted to reach out to you guys. And A, thank you for all the work that you're doing. B, just affirming how important what you're doing is and how important you are to the country, and why you're actually leading. I know you feel alone and you feel isolated, but you're actually leading the country to be in a better place. And people like me and everybody else needs a way to speak about this in a compelling, thoughtful way that will drive some kind of fairly dramatic action that will change the lives of the folks in your neighborhood and your families. So Steve, thank you with that. And I just want to, stop talking there and open up and just ask everybody to try to help me just understand what you think I don't understand, and give me some better ways to help advocate for the work that we're all trying to do.
All right, thanks, Mitch. Yeah, you probably could talk a dog off a meat truck too. I like that. So guys, I want you guys to bring your best thinking. Mitch, I'm gonna open it up to a couple of the panelists, but I appreciate your efforts and you thinking enough of us to speak to us. So brothers, I want you guys to open up the Mitch, treat them like family. Let's help the country. The rest of the guys who aren't on the panel, please submit your questions in chat. We need this to be the best CRED talks yet. So let's get it. But before we start, Mitch, I do want to lay some context, right? I heard you talked about dehumanization, right? You know what those effects do to people. So if you think about how culturally that process is hundreds of years old, and it allows for people to kill each other because they think that they're less than, and then that same feeling or belief, and we know how strong beliefs are, right? Looking at the Capitol building, and that belief then is transferred to our generation and the younger generation. Is there a way, my question is, like, in order to really start healing, at what point do we want the country's darkest secret just to be acknowledged, just to be talked about openly? It's like race is the toughest thing to talk about. And there's a direct correlation, I think, between our historical racist history of America, and then what's going on now. So I just wanted to just throw that out there for context. You don't have to answer that now because I'll get back to you, but I want to hear from one of the panelists. But please, Mitch, just bear with us.
Sure.
So Isaiah Hicks, come on in, man. I just say you open up. Come on in, Isaiah.
Let's go, Isaiah.
Good evening, everybody. Well, I wanted to say,
Isaiah, pull
most
over.
of these communities.
Pull over while you
Okay.
talking.
Say, don't wreck while you're talking to me, Isaiah.
Nah, okay, I'm gonna pull over. All right. First off, we need to reflecting back to the communities and all that, where the problems going on. We need to, get the leaders, the people that's actually been living in these communities for years, to reach out, to talk to the youth, the younger guys, like what we, pretty much doing here in Chicago with CRED, so, and, resources, like more jobs, open up centers, cause right now that play a big part. Right now, we need, like more resources. We need, schools opening back up. We need, more stuff for kids to get involved with, so it could keep their mind off the streets, off TikTok, off social media, cause that's what's influencing these kids right now to the, today. That's what getting in their head, and it's, like I'm trying to say, it's a bigger picture, and all us need to get involved. All us need to wake up. All us need to help each other out.
Isaiah, do you feel like the kids you talking about the next generation coming up behind you. You don't look
Yes.
that old to me, but I know you probably feel like you're old.
Yeah.
What you feel like they in worse shape than you were or better shape?
They in the worse shape than I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was growing up, we ain't had too much social media. We ain't had iPhones and Galaxies and all that. Instagram, Facebook. We ain't had all them things. So the kids that's growing up now, they seeing them things. So they want to be a part of live. They want to be a part of whatever that's going on, rap music, that's influencing them, what to do what they doing, or just the beef that's going on in the neighborhood. So we need to put like the more, things like CRED. That's what I'm trying to say, like more programs like CRED, so the kids and teenagers and, people that's in their 20s to get involved, to get out here, to reach out to these kids. Hey, we ain't alone. We all came through the struggle. We all been through something.
Right.
I'm successful in the program. I've been in the program over a year myself. I got into trouble when I was 18 and did, and been incarcerated and did like 5 years. But during that time, I got the time to read books, just to elevate my mind, doing something positive, join the program, school, things like that. So I could come back out sharp, so I could be on my feet, so I could, tell my story, what I've been through, and that's what we need more. We need more leaders, every race.
Ollie, can I
not
ask
just
another
Black
question?
leaders.
Well, now that you're out, how you feeling about whether people are letting you put your feet on the ground? I mean, you're a returning citizen. I mean, are the barriers too high, or the looks, too negative, or do you feel like you're getting a fair shot?
I feel like I'm getting a fair shot because ever since I've been out, I've been working. CRED gave me a fresh shot. So, I appreciate the my CRED, Chicago CRED family, my life coach, Ernie Duncan, and all of them. They've been family to it. They been helping me out, and all the guys through the program, Even if we ain't got family, we got, Chicago CRED as family, So I feel like, it's a lot of negativity going on because that's the era and the world that we living in right now, So to avoid all the negativity and all that, we got to replace it with positivity.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks, Mitch.
You can start driving again.
Yeah, I've been in an accident in October, so I ain't trying to get in another.
That's expensive. That'll hurt you.
Yeah.
So
Gotta fix the bumper and pay the insurance too. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
I seen Al Woodard, come off, put that video on, man. I know he got something to say. Al, let's go. You're on mute right now.
How y'all doing there? My bad. How y'all doing?
Yeah.
Just going back on what he said, I feel like a fellowship. See, I come from a part of the city where it was love, which I'm always say the same thing, which is the low end. I come from projects, and I was just explaining this to my little brother earlier. The projects was like a village, bro. Like it say, the sign is, it takes a village to raise a household, or it takes a village to raise a child. You feel me? And it was the same thing growing up in communities. You feel me? The projects was a village. Like for instance, my best friend used to live on the 10th floor. I lived on the 5th. My little brother friend lived on the 3rd floor. My mama didn't have to come wake us up. You know how you would wake a kid up for school and they'll doze right off again, and then you got to come back and wake them up again? My mama didn't have to do that because she'll probably come wake us up. Then we probably doze off, and our friends coming in there like, come on, man, let's get ready for school. And we excited. You feel me? Nowadays, these kids need a Chicago CRED. These kids need an Ernie Duncan. These kids that's a fellowship. CRED is a fellowship like we had in the projects. We had pool, after school manor. We had boxing. We had arts and crafts. We had certain things to keep us interested. And then it was optional. You feel me? It was more things that they wasn't just putting us in something and we was bored with it and we had to do it because we had to do it. You feel me? We found something we like doing, which is like basketball, football, or baseball, or whatever the situation is. And we adapted to it and stuck with it. But once they started taking that away from the community and started separating us, I was just saying this, bro. I grew up, and I don't care about it. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna be 100.
Just say it. Go ahead.
I'm gonna be 100 with y'all. I'm a black disciple. I grew up with them. And I was just trying to understand this. Why we in tour with each other. Bro, I grew up with the dude. You feel me? Like on some 100 stuff, bro. You feel me? Like I grew up in a projects full of GDs that we in tour with now. We only in tour with each other because they tour the projects. I'm talking too fast. They tour the projects down. They tour the projects down, stretched us across blocks. We was friends when we was together. Now I live 5, 6, 7 blocks away from you in your hood and tour with my hood. Eventually, we are going to pick our hood over our friendship. And that's how a lot of the violence and a lot of chaos, like you were saying earlier, you spoke about the people knowing each other out of the ratio of the community. We know each other. Everybody know each other. Everybody some kin to each other. Our mamas know each other or our daddies know each other. You feel me? It's just, we segregated. We all pushed away and separated and have nothing to do, honestly. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't think that the kids, the next generation, I ain't saying the 15 and 16-year-olds, I feel like it's up to us, and that's why I salute CRED, because they give us the strength that we need to control the 16 and 17-year-olds. But it's the 16 and 17-year-olds need a fellowship so that the kids that's younger than them that's sitting on TikTok and stuff could direct where they want to go. If they listening to rap, they might want to be rappers.
Yeah.
Now they need somebody to direct them into positive rap. You feel me? Instead of talking about shooting people and stuff like that.
Do you feel like there's any chance that artists that are using rap as a medium could be helpful in talking to these kids?
Yeah, I believe so. I know so. It's a guy named Corporate. He do like little skits on Instagram, I mean on YouTube and stuff. He do it. Like he's a rapper. He's beyond a skit. He give you an everyday life in Chicago. And he do little funny skits. But it be little violence, it don't be, he show you that it could get violent. Like, man, I could be in the wrong neighborhood and this could happen. But it's still a sense of humor out of it. He still show you the positive in it. You feel me?
Yep. How do you describe the way kids are resolving their conflicts with guns? I mean, what do you call it? How do you talk about it? When you were describing, if y'all went downtown and y'all got out of the South Side and y'all went to wherever the fancy people that got money in nice restaurants eat, and y'all was sitting there and somebody said, "Hey man, describe what's going on, on the South Side." How would you describe it to them?
I think it's beyond the South Side. I think it's Chicago.
Well, wherever it is. I'm not from Chicago, so I don't know, but it's just wherever.
It's a whole lot of people that don't know how to word emotions. And being 100, it comes from our older people. You feel me? Like, I don't know how everybody else was raised, but when I was growing up, you would probably have my uncle or my mama man, stop crying, man. That stuff, you feel me? Crying to make you look soft or whatever the situation. So now people don't know how to work with their emotions. And this is how they stress their emotion. You feel me? Like, and this what Chicago CRED good at, bro. Like I got a Miss Muhammad. She showed me how to work with my emotions. She showed me how to be able to talk. Because if I don't, I'm gonna blank out. I know me, you feel me? Yeah. I'm gonna go crazy and it might lead me somewhere I really don't nobody want to be in jail. I just came home from doing 3 years, and before that I did 2 years, and before that I did 2.5 years. You feel me? From 17 to 27 years old, bro. Like, I don't want to go back to jail. Right. It ain't fun in there. You feel me? Like, don't nobody want to go back to jail, but don't nobody want to say that because we wasn't taught to say things that make us look weak.
Right. Let me ask you one other question before we jump. You think that it sounds like you went back a couple of times. You think one of the reasons why you didn't go back this time is because CRED was there and gave you an option?
CRED came in at the perfect time. I'm 100%.
Or just because you got a little older and more mature?
100% sure CRED played a big role in keeping me out of a lot of stuff. You feel me? Like I experienced so much. Like I was just in an off-white shoot with Craig, bro. That was an experience. Like I ain't never tell him I wanted to. I had a passion with fashion, and I ain't never tell them that. They just put it there, and they seen that I had a stitch with it. Like, okay, cool. He liked this.
You could be a fashion designer, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you never had an outlet to do that. You never had a pathway. Somebody wrote in like the chat just a minute ago, it's like the hate you get when you're a kid. Most of the kids feel like you just got left behind. Nobody sees you. Nobody cares about you. And so if nobody's going to care about me, why should I care about myself? You feel like some of that is going on?
Yeah, or and that too, and mainly like these kids really need somebody to listen to them, not tell them what to do. They need somebody to listen to them. For majority as parents, like I don't have a child. Well, I have my oldest is 10, and majority of that is me telling. I had to realize, like, and I was probably telling her what to do or whatever the situation is. Or my pops was telling me what to do. You feel me? I was living his life, trying to live his life instead of him listening to me and actually what I want to do, and sitting down and you feel me?
Yeah. Well, that's a common problem that all daddies have talking to their kids. We always want to project ourselves. I got 5 of them, so it's hard to listen to them. I mean, it's a tough thing to do. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Thank you. Good luck to you.
Before you leave, I want to ask a question, Al. So I know you to be a rapper and an upstanding young man. My question would be, I think Mitch hit on this. My question you would be, what's hindering some of the rappers today from coming and telling a realistic story? Not to say that the story of violence isn't real, but to be able to tell all angles of a certain story so that a child that might be listening can get a fuller picture versus, oh, you made a lot of money or you killed a lot of people. What about the times you was crying? What about the time that you lost your dad or lost your friend? What's hindering some of these rappers from telling those realistic stories? What do you think?
Honestly, man, I'm big on, because I'm channeling myself away from peer pressure and fear. And I think that's what it is, bro. Like I said, I can recall my uncle telling me crying is for not to sissies. I'm sorry. You feel me? Crying is for the weak, bro. So, and I grew up off that. You feel me? To the point where people don't, like, I real life go to funerals and don't see people crying at funerals no more. Like, why? You feel me? Now, and I'm understanding, bro, when you cry, you let off a lot. Like, crying real life let off a lot. You feel me? Why would you tell a kid that you don't know how far you could scar that kid in life? You feel me? Or peer pressure, or make a kid feel like, and a lot of these rappers is kids still, bro. Like, you don't got no 40-year-old men out here talking about killing people. You don't have 2 Chainz, Jay-Z, you feel me? Things, you don't even have J. Cole. A lot of them is 29, fucking, my bad for cursing, 27 and on down, bro. You feel me? Them the ones that's talking about killing each other, and majority of they problems is trust issues, whether it's on a female scale or they can't trust their homies, they can't trust their family, they can't, you feel me? In pain, bro. But they don't know how to let it out. And the only how they know how to let it out is anger. You feel me? They don't want to get on the track and be like, man, bro. Like, look at Toosii. I don't know if y'all know who Toosii is, bro. Toosii. Bro, he just said in one of his raps, bro, and they trying to criticize him. He said, man, I was young, bro. My girl cheating on me 15 times. You feel me? He real life letting y'all into his life and y'all criticize, oh, you weak for that, da-da-da this.
Right.
What a dog child would have did that. You feel me? And that's what everyday kids get, bro.
Yeah, well, there's this thing, there's this phrase that people use called toxic masculinity, where, people get confused about what it means to be a man. I mean, look, I cry all the time. I don't think it's a sign of weakness. It's just the way I feel. And, pain, sometimes you have to get it out of you. If you don't get it out of you, it stays in you and you express it, in a different way. And so I think there's a lot of that going on. That's just not in the Black community. That's in the white community too. I mean, look, President Trump had a lot of it. It was like he was insane about what it means to be a man. It doesn't mean you could beat up everybody every day or that you yell and scream. That's just that doesn't take any strength or any power, you know. So I feel you about that, and I appreciate you sharing that. I think that's right.
Appreciate that, man.
Thank you,
Anthony.
What's
Hey,
up, Ali?
Mitch, real quick, just so you know, man, we work on masculinity here, man. One of our life coaches, Banks, teaches that to the brothers at 95th. What's up, Anthony? Do your thing, baby.
Turn that camera on for us, brother. And pull over, please.
Let me pass this light.
Yeah, park for us. But while you parking, I'll say this, Mitch, that we got some pretty sharp guys at Chicago CRED, and I know that the brother spoke about, Alvin spoke about that peer pressure, and I think a lot of these major peer pressure issues that our job here is to help them navigate through those barriers at times. So I think that's where a lot of the staff throughout CRED has become experts in helping these gentlemen and women as well now navigate through peer pressure issues and some of the other barriers that may, kind of come in their lives. And this comes from just different trainings and stuff like that we go through. So
yeah, I think that everybody knows what this feels like to be kind of razzed by your friends, because you're taking a position that's not popular and you feel like you're going to lose your friends, so you don't want to do that, and you give into that peer pressure. That's something a lot of people would recognize. So
we call it self-differentiation here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Can I say something, man? Can I request somebody to say something that's on the phone with us, bro?
Sure.
This is a guy that I've been with since I met him. I met him in jail, bro. We come from two walks of life. We both aggressors. Just understanding and know what his name, Gerard Crow. He on the phone.
Hey, Gerard.
On call with us.
is he in the audience?
I see him in the chat, so I don't know.
Right. Ask him to raise his hand. We'll try to bring him up.
Tell him, hey, Al, put Gerard Crow be up next. While we got Anthony pulled over, we want to go ahead and get to him because he's driving too. So
Okay.
Yo.
Oh,
there he is.
Hey, Gerard.
What's up?
Go ahead.
Go on mute real quick, and then Anthony, we'll go to Anthony and then come back to you, Gerard. All
right, cool.
Thank you, brother. Go ahead, Anthony.
It's a lot of factors. Y'all get me right.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
I mean, there's a lot of factors that you got to consider when you think about how to help Chicago as far as violence, or start with the youth. However you tackle it, it's a lot of aspects to get down packed and maintain. But I was considering the question you asked at the beginning of the seminar, where you was talking about how you was trying to get the community to understand how they also have to abide by laws, but it's a mental health aspect of it as well. And that's a big part to consider as far as like where the violence stem from, or what's going on in any city where crazy stuff happened. And that it's just, you got to think about a lot of lives that's being affected by a lot of crazy things, and people come outside and express their emotions of how they feeling or whatever they going through in a violent way. And you know what I'm saying? There ain't nobody to really stop them. Ain't nobody really conscious of what they doing, to be honest. But honestly, but everybody basically just stepping from what everybody else saying, the programs that's like this that reach out to people and get people to change, or at least try to. So just, that's the best you can wish for, is just hope a lot of people survive and everybody be okay, but just try to affect as many lives as you can while you're out here trying to do some good.
Well, I think that, look, first of all, those are great points. But as Al said a minute ago, he said, when he was coming up, I think he used the term into projects. and he lived on the 10th floor and his friend lived on the 5th floor, there was a, for lack of a better term, I think he used this as well, the word a village where people felt comfortable, there was love, there were things to do, and those things have started to go away and they're not there no more. And these kids coming up today, I think that's one of the phrases somebody used, is they don't really have that kind of network, if you will. And so CRED's coming in on the backside. So you got to think about it. You want to stop everybody who's in it right now. And then you got to stop the kids who are coming up from getting into it, both at the same time, right? And that's a hard thing to do. I think it's possible, but you guys are going to have to figure out, I mean, y'all are actually leading the country. So I'm just asking you to think about this, not to put too much pressure on you, because you've had enough pressure on you in your life to begin with. And it's unfair for anybody to ask you to lead, but I'm doing it anyway, to just be thinking about how you would tell folks, you know, this is what we need and this is what works. Because it didn't always used to be this way. It did not always used to be this way. I mean, there were points in time in history where people, you know, you think about the Wild West, you know, we have all these stories about how people shot each other and then they quit and then they started again and then they quit. So it doesn't have to be this way. And it can be changed, but I don't think anybody really knows exactly all of the things that have to happen to change it. Or at least they're not paying as much attention to it as they are in trying to find a vaccine for COVID or getting to Mars, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's worth thinking about for a minute. So I just believe it can be done, but I think it requires a lot of attention. And this is my opinion. I think a lot of people think it's not worth it. And I'm thinking it is. And you think it is, but I just think that people who don't think it's worth it. And I think they're just wrong about it.
Can I go back on what you were saying?
Sure.
Just real quick, my bad for cutting you off.
I believe.
Oh, my bad. I don't want to disturb.
Go ahead, Al.
Go ahead, Al.
I was just saying this stuff. I just had a long talk because I was just rehearsing of what I want to, you feel me, talk about with my OG. And I was just saying the same thing to my mama. Like, bro, if you look at it, Chicago, like you just said, it could happen. And some people starting to think that it's not worth it, you feel me? Because this problem been going on for years, bro. Like, California was like this before. But now California was the murder capital before. Now just Chicago, the murder capital for a long ass time, and Chicago got corrupt or got a big influence. It have a strong positive influence on other cities, but it have more of a negative influence on other cities. You feel me? What is it that California did that we can't do? What is it that other cities, because we're the third largest city, right? It's New York, LA, and Chicago.
Yeah, that's right.
They all had the same thing. We all had the same problem, and Chicago just lasted longer than these cities. Somehow they shaped the other cities up, and Chicago can't do it. Like I was talking to my life coach the other day. What was it, Ali? I was talking to both of y'all. And I was talking about, I remember they was trying to bring the Olympics to Chicago. They was trying to bring the Olympics to Chicago in like 2011 or 12 and decided they wasn't because they predicted all this.
Well, let me answer real quickly to that. First of all, it is true. For example, New York used to be high and now they're low, but they still have way too many. One murder is too many. Los Angeles went up and it went down, but I don't want you to get discouraged. New Orleans has worse stats than Chicago, by the way. So I love my city. I love Chicago too. I like y'all's deep dish pizza and all y'all, whatever y'all got there. But New Orleans numbers are worse than Chicago's. But I'm telling you that this is a fixable problem. So I don't want you to get discouraged, although I know you feel like, you know, the weight and it's so heavy and it gets getting deeper. And there are a lot of us out here that want to help. And that's one of the reasons why I called, just to say, you know, when I'm out there talking, what do you want me saying? How you want me describing what's going on? How do I penetrate the mind of, you know, people in Washington or in New York or wherever I am talking about it? Because I talk about it all the time, and Arnie does too. That man doesn't go to sleep. He dreams about this every night, you know, and we're not the only ones. But I'm kind of counting on y'all to kind of guide us. And, you know, I want to be a part of making it better.
Is Gerard still holding?
Yeah, I'm right up.
Go ahead, Gerard.
Let's see your face, brother. Let us see you. There you go.
Doing community service right now. I say, if you want to reach everybody on a national level, you need to first put in these kids' heads that it's a big difference between reality and entertainment. Cause all they doing is being entertained out here. They don't know the reality of things, you know? All they know is entertainment, the music, the TV shows. Like we came up on shows like Family Matters, and even Martin had a message at the end of the day, like a message at the end of the show. You would have learned something by the end of the show. Nowadays, just straight entertainment, like nonsense and bullshit, you know, drama. That's all they know. To the point, like, it's like you could see it in the age differences. Like I'm 28, you could see it in the age differences. Like they came up a whole different way, but we all came up in the same place. You get what I'm saying? You get me? Y'all can't hear me, folks?
Yeah, we hear you.
We understand what you said, just processing. We didn't know if you was done or not.
I'm trying to figure out whether he really dated himself by saying Martin. He old.
Y'all
old.
I mean,
you know, Mitch, you know, one of the issues is that's often not addressed is mental health. And here we have our clinicians, man. Like talking about one of our clinicians. Gerard, go on mute for us, bro. Each one of our clinicians have
You say
go on mute.
Each one of our clinicians have tackled so many different issues with our participants. I mean, we got participants that, you know, may have issues that need medication, issues that need actual treatment to go, you know what I mean, like take that other step. Some of them may have been you know, have been given the wrong medication or something like that, misdiagnosed for other things that they may not be dealing with. So I think that's a major problem that we have that we need to kind of hone in on is the mental health aspect. And I think Anthony Davis spoke about that. We got a lot of them dealing with PTSD, a lot of them dealing with anxiety, right? Depression, especially with some of the drugs that they use. They take them to one level of high and then take them to a lower level of low that, you know, lead them to a certain depression that they could have never been in on top of the things that they already deal with. And then you add the addition of an assault rifle that's easy accessible, that shoot 200 rounds at, you know, in the blink of an eye. Shit, right there, you have so many problems to unpack.
well, I hear you about that, but can I push you on just something? And I'm gonna push you on purpose. I want y'all to know about it. But like, is the weapon of choice in Chicago mostly a handgun or is it AK or I mean, it's mostly a handgun, right?
Yeah, handguns.
I mean, I bet, I don't know this. I don't have the Chicago numbers in front of me, but I'm guessing that about 85% are handguns.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things, Arnie, this is like me and you thinking, you know, people in Washington, D.C., if they were going to find a way to make gun safety an issue, you know, the first thing we always go to is getting rid of the AK-47s. And what I want to say is I'm not adverse to doing that, but 85 to 90% of the shootings, you know, between and amongst people in America, white and black, is with a handgun. Right. And you can get, I bet every one of y'all go get a handgun before I get off this call. Underneath, right? And like in a minute. It's readily accessible to anybody who needs one, right?
Yeah.
Y'all renting guns? People renting guns in Chicago real quick? Like,
ain't renting no guns, he buying guns.
Yeah, but it just take you a minute. You just
yeah.
It's not like a hard thing to get your hand on.
It's easy to get a handgun than it is to get an assault rifle.
Yeah.
It's way easier to get a handgun. And tapping on the guns, like, I think I made somebody mad last group chat I was in with this. Bro, we're getting me, I'm a part of that. Yes, I got gun case in my background, bro. Guns are getting transported into Chicago. So
they
we
are
not going to,
they are or they are not.
Is, bro.
Oh,
they are. Like for instance, the looting that went down all last year, the looting, when they hit the freights for all them guns, why didn't they set up security or set up the police patrol? They guarded all downtown, the Gucci stores and all type of dumb stuff, bro. They guarded stuff that ain't even make sense, bro. Instead of going to go guard the train with all the guns, and then the people stole all the guns. But they know this because this what happened in Chicago that don't get talked about. These freaks, they know that we know these guns is on these trains. They know that these guns is getting transported into our cities. We're not bringing the guns. The guns are coming and we taking the guns. You feel me?
Right. Look, can I ask us a really, and I want you to feel free. I hope you do. And if you don't answer if you feel comfortable. You think the police in Chicago are helping or hurting the situation? They hurting. And what are they doing that's hurting the situation? That's for everybody.
Regular ass people who not even from where we from, but they got some, like, want to put their 2 cents in on what we got going on, and they don't even understand, like, you know.
Say that more directly. You mean it's a
they're
bunch of white guys?
Civilians? They're regular civilians who have never ever lived a day of their life in the hood, but this where their job is. So automatically they on guard, or they gotta be tough, or they gotta, and they don't even.
So like, that means that you know. No, I hear you. Let me kind of probe. That means that you feel like they don't understand or feel the neighborhood, and so they don't know how to react or how to police, or they don't know how to see. I wouldn't even say that.
I feel like them, when they even first took their job, they took it with intentions on like with like stereotypes in their mind and shit, you know? Like they already had it in their head that they were gonna be on bullshit before they even got their badge.
Right.
Get what I'm saying? Like
so they came in with a predisposition about you, huh?
Yeah, a pre whatever, for the simple fact of entertainment, feeling like Chicago shows like Chicago PD.
Right.
Glorifying Chicago, capitalizing off our lingo and our slang and our culture.
Right.
But at the same time, like, you got some people on the outside looking in who really think this is what it is, and it's not.
Right.
Can I say this real quick? Can I say this? My friend, she just got locked up, bro. She got a concealed carry in her force. She just got locked up by taking the trash to the garbage, but she had a gun on her, which typically you in Chicago, I recommend you to. You feel me? And I told her, I feel like, and they never gave her a gun back. I said, man, you should sue them. I said, I feel like they wrong. I said, man, if it was in, don't get me wrong.
Why'd they arrest her? Because she was bringing a garbage out with a gun?
Man, bro, she had the gun on her hip.
At our house?
She had the gun on her hip. They had no probable cause of even stopping her. I went to jail. I know, I just studied law to the point where I know what's probable cause enough and what isn't. You feel me? You got on the tank tops and flip flops. You don't even fit the description. What is y'all stopping me for? You feel me? Like, but at the end of the day, I told her, if not being one-sided, because I didn't been on the criminal side, you feel me? But I gotta understand the justice system too. You feel me?
Yeah.
If I was a chief of police, I would recommend it. Okay, cool. Because it's messed up out here. It ain't just Chicago, it's the world. It's either be 8, you feel me? Like for real, that's what the world is turning into. It's either be 8.
You know what? What you just said, I remember sitting in a little place called Cafe Reconcile, which is it's got a little program like CRED. And I was talking to a bunch of youngsters, and this kid said to me, Mayor, out here, it's either kill or be killed. Because I kept asking, why is everybody beefing? What are you doing? He goes, man, out here, nobody's out here going to protect me. I have to protect myself. And, you know, I'm either going to get shot or I'm going to shoot somebody else. I mean, he almost said exactly the same words that you said. That's a dangerous place for somebody to feel like they're in. Bro, looking over your shoulder all the time. Right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In your head.
And it's the truth. You feel me? And I told her, if I was the chief of the police in my area, I don't know how it go well. My district, I would recommend. I remember a woman, she was concealed to carry. They tried to rob her. I believe it was on 103rd in Michigan at the bus stop, and she killed the guy. And I was looking like, that's justified. You feel me? He's stupid. That's what he get. You feel me? I would rather my mama do that to somebody or whatever the situation is. Is it wrong? It's still wrong. But are you wrong for protecting your life? You feel me?
Yeah, I hear you. Stephen and Ali, there's somebody, Darlene wants to know, can she speak?
No, I just unmuted Terrell. Give us a second, Gerard. We'll be right back. Nancy, unmute Terrell real quick.
Yeah, what's going on, y'all?
All right, Terrell. What's going on here, Terrell?
I just wanted to piggyback on what Ali said, man. You know what I'm saying? What he said, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people be taking these drugs, man. They don't be knowing how to, you know what I'm saying? They don't be knowing how these drugs affect them. And drugs affect their body in a different way. But then, you feel me? And then they go back to, you feel me, the crib. You feel me? Like it come from home. You feel me? Like if you ain't got no guidance in the crib, you ain't got no male role model showing you, you feel me, the way, you feel me? Or if you do, that's showing you the wrong way, you feel me? It all started in the crib, you feel me? And if you ain't got the right role model, you feel me, as a male, you feel me? A lot of niggas coming up with they OGs, they mamas, you feel me? Single parents, you feel me? They OGs just study having kids and shit, you feel me? Not being with the males and shit, you feel me? Niggas be having to raise their siblings, you feel me? No male around, you feel me? Some niggas be in the street, majority of the niggas turn to the streets, you know what I'm saying? So, you feel me? Like, all that lead to is, you know what I'm saying, you hanging with your guys, you know what I'm saying? Because if you ain't got no male role model to take you to school from grammar school, you walking to school from grammar school, you done got you a clique of guys, you know what I'm saying? Y'all done got into jams, y'all done got into fights, you know what I'm saying, in grammar school and high school, and now they ended up, these same niggas you done went to school with, fighting with, y'all done been cool, y'all can squash the beef out the fight, but now y'all done got to shooting guns and shit, y'all taking drugs and shit, and can't nobody lose a fight now, you know what I'm saying? So the shit just be all out of control, you feel me?
Yeah.
Like Anthony said, you feel me? It's gonna take a lot. It's gonna take a lot to heal that, you know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you for sharing that. It's just like that downward cycle. It just keeps going.
Excuse me.
It keeps going down. You want to go back the other way if you can, but it's hard to do.
Exactly.
Hard to do.
Darlene?
Yeah, you can hear me?
All right, go ahead, brother. Go ahead and speak.
Hey, look, my name Marcus.
Okay.
I'm from Roseland. Now, what everybody's saying, I'm not finna throw nobody on the bus, is good, but that's not finna resolve shit. We got to get down to the bottom of it. The bottom of it is the violence, right? And how can and the help we need, right?
Go ahead. Yeah.
The help that we need social classes, and social classes for us. But first and foremost, I'm 27 for the guys that was active in these wars and in this confusion and all this bullshit that's going on in these areas, not just Chicago, even let's say New Orleans, California, and all that though. And this just strictly, not strictly, but I'm speaking to the blacks because you started off saying Black Lives Matter and the focus on us right now. We got to get to the visceral and nip everything in the bud. Let it know it's not personal. We on to something different so the younger crowd could see us and then they could end up follow our pace. But what we need the polices and the higher ups to get checked. They need to check their colleagues because half of the stuff that's going on or that they broadcasting is not actually going on out here. They just putting these animal titles and these bogus images on us. We need rehabs, you know, not just
What happened? I like that. We need rehabs. All right.
He jumped off.
Yeah, we'll come back. What about Walter? Can we get Walter in? I know he's been patient.
Let's go, Walt.
Let's clean it up too, brothers. Let's clean this language up.
Let's go, Walt. You on mute.
Nancy, can you unmute Walter McGee? Hey, Mitch, real quick while we waiting on Walt, can you, when you get to talk to the president, man, and you know that all these ghettos have been created by redlining and policies like HUD and FHA, can we get them to pay for some of these programs that we need? Can
I hope
FHA
so.
kick in?
I hope, when you think about it, y'all were talking about institutional racism and institutional bias. This country has been crippled by institutional bias for a long time, and redlining, y'all know this. This is Chicago. Look, Chicago is a fantastic city and it's unique, but it's not so unique that anything that's not happening in Chicago is definitely happening in New Orleans, San Francisco, Oakland, New York, everywhere where people are. But definitely, and hopefully this administration is going to take a look at what I call institutional racism and institutional bias. And you look at redlining, you look at housing, you look at where the schools are, how you decide who's in what district, how you pay for schools, the entire criminal justice system, all of that stuff needs to be looked at. And I think it's gonna matter based on what some of the guys have said today about not having he didn't say a safety net, but when he was talking about, Al was talking about being in a community where friends were walking together and they had things to do, all of that's got to get rebuilt. Because you got to, if you don't feel, because that is in some ways a message that you matter, that you're valuable, because it's important, for people to have what they need. And I think people out there are saying, look, we feel lost, we feel left behind, we feel like people can't see us, and when we have needs, nobody's listening to what we say. What else you expect us to do? When we start beefing, as some of the guys have said today. But it's not an excuse for violence, but maybe it's an explanation of why people are feeling so left behind and left out. And if you have an over or misplaced sense of pride, and you don't really understand what masculinity is really about, or you don't have role models, and you ain't got nothing. In other words, if nobody's nurtured you or formed you into, a mature person, which is what we wound up being as a kids, we don't know how to take care of ourselves. And then you're supposed to grow up and learn how to do better. If nobody could ever teach you that, how could you expect that you would ever learn it?
That's a piggyback to what I was saying, you feel me? Like, you ain't had a role model, that's the real speaking. You ain't had a role model, you feel me, in your life, you feel me? Or you feel me? You are a good kid, you know what I'm saying, to a certain extent. You turn up, you be 15, 16 years old, and your best friend get killed, you know what I'm saying, by a straight bullet or something. You know what I'm saying? Or you witnessed that, or you heard about it. Now that turns you to want to pick up a gun. You know what I'm saying? You don't really have to, but majority of the time you do. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's hard to put that anger down in your pain, isn't it? When somebody that close to you gets killed.
Hey, can I piggyback off what you were just saying real quick? Can I piggyback off what you were just saying real quick?
Real quick.
Let me say this, Ali.
We brought Walt up, and then we get to the brother Townsend. Let's go Walt and then Townsend after that. And then we'll go to Alvin. Alvin, you muted, brother. Alvin, you muted.
My bad. Just please, let me just say this. Majority of the killing, and we all could come to an agreement, the majority of the killers is happening by males. Somehow we have to channel that and see that and show the man that the man is the power of the household. The man is powerful to the household. The man is powerful to kids. The man is powerful to the creation. You feel me? If we kill each other, the women wouldn't have nothing to reproduce. You feel me? How is they gonna take care of each other? How is they gonna take care of our kids? We leaving our kids, bro. You feel me? Like, somehow we have to get men's to open up, bro. And well, somehow y'all, and I'm with y'all, you feel me? We got to get men's to open up and show men's that is bigger than being fucking what's the word I want to say? I'm sorry for cursing too. I know y'all just said watch our language. It's bigger than being dominant, you feel me?
Or like, tough. Or tough.
Bro, you feel me? Like, it's bigger than that, bro. Sometimes being a man mean actually being a man, being a leader, putting your foot down, not tolerating things. That don't mean that you're not like tough. That don't mean you gotta be, man, I ain't taking this and no, bro. Look, we not doing this shit, man. We feel me? Why we gonna kill each other? That shit's senseless, you feel me? Like, why we can't generate some money together? Why we can't put a plan together to bring up the community? You feel me?
That's wrap it up, bro. So we got 2 more people we got to get to, okay?
But Alvin, that was
cold though.
That was good. That's what we need. We need more of this conversation too. 1 hour ain't enough. We need more of this conversation.
Hey, Ali, you know what? I was just thinking that, man. Mitch been on here a while. We probably need to wrap it up. This was a good one. Mitch, I know we don't want to hold you. It's like a little bit after 5, but like Ali would say, do you promise to come back and chop it up with the guys when COVID opens up?
Well, let me say this. First of all, thank y'all for having me. I can't tell you, I'd rather be with you guys than almost anywhere in the world. And I'd be honored to be invited back to Chicago and to come be with you guys. Number one. Number two, I want to thank y'all for everything that you're doing. I know that it's unfair of the world to ask you to bear a greater burden than you've already borne in your life, but we're looking to you to help us figure this out. Everybody on this call is brilliant. You're important. Your lives are valuable and they really matter. I know it feels like you're alone and nobody's there, but that's just not true. There are a lot of people that really care, but we got to figure out together a way out, because listen, there's some little cat that's in some neighborhood in New York or in Boston or in New Orleans, that's gone through everything that what you're going through in Chicago. And so this is just not there. I know you feel like you got more of it, but I'm just telling you, New Orleans is where you guys are, maybe a little bit worse. And you got to think about each one of those little kids. And I showed you a picture of that little girl because I have a picture in my house. I carry that little girl with me everywhere I go. And by the way, I didn't tell you, and I'll end here. And this is the thing that kept me going. When she got killed on that porch, that was her cousin Kennard's birthday. That little boy who came to my office after I went to the little girl's funeral, a year later on Mother's Day, they had these two guys, Aiken and I forget his brother's name, Scott, who were mad at some people. And in New Orleans, we have these things called second lines. It's a parade where everybody dances and sings. Aiken and his brother were waiting for this guy that they wanted, and they opened fire on the Mother Day on this parade, and they shot 24 people. All right. And a couple people died. But the point I want to tell you is Kennard, this little boy who was standing next to his cousin when she got shot. And Kennard that day got hit in the cheek. A year later, Kennard got hit in the leg across town in another neighborhood. So this little boy, before he was 11 years old in New Orleans, got shot twice. And I had this little boy, because I just wanted to help take care of him, come to my office a bunch of times. And I was trying to work with him about how unsafe he felt. You can imagine this little boy now, after just escaping death twice by like an inch, or a quarter of an inch, how he was feeling about his life. And I just remember him all the time. And I think about how he's going to grow up and how he's going to learn how to grow into a man and to be powerful. So you have little young men like that counting on you guys who have been through the toughest of it to double down on your responsibility. That's unfair to ask you to have to help us really understand this, to know how to talk about it, to hold our feet to the fire about it, to speak truth to power, but to speak it in love in a way that men can, in a forthright way, being truthful and being honest, but also being real about it. And so I just need your help. That's what I'm asking you for, because I want to do my part. I don't want to get in your way. I don't want to step on your toes, but I want to be there to do my part. And I need you guys. So I thank you for having me. Arnie, thank you so much for all the work that y'all are doing. Thank you for CRED for all what you're doing. And I'm going to be ticked off if y'all don't invite me to come back to Chicago and hang out with y'all. All right. And Steve, I'm going to get some of that. Steve, I'm going to get some of that hair you got when I come there too. I'm just telling